My friends. Reverend Lisa always introduces herself by saying, beloveds. And I don't want to steal her phrases, therefore I say, my friends. For the ones of you who may have missed her yesterday, she probably explained this morning, I'm sure, on her broadcast. Apparently her Wi-Fi went down and that was kind of the end of it, so she couldn't do her broadcast yesterday. I'm assuming she did it today. I didn't go out and check, actually, but there you are. It's just a buy. It's kind of taken me about 3 episodes of our readings to realize that we're going to be in a bold situation for quite a while. I saw 2 bolds came up, and I should have actually looked ahead to see, because today we're into another bold situation. Not bold as in no hair, but bold as in brave, etc. Well, without further ado, here we go with today's reading. The first one is from Willy Wonka, Pure Imagination, which is a song, of course, that derives from Roald Dahl's book, Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, and the subsequent book and a bunch of movies that came out afterwards about Willy Wonka. And this one is from that song, Pure Imagination. We'll begin with the spin, traveling in the world of my creation. What we'll see will defy explanation. If you want to view paradise, simply look around and view it. Anything you want to do, do it. Want to change the world? There's nothing to it. And it's kind of poetic. And as you know, that Roald Dahl, who he was born, he grew up in Wales anyway. He was part Scandinavian, part British, I think, if I remember rightly, but he grew up in Britain. He's classed as a British author. And Ernest Holmes in Words That Heal Today. Let's see what he's got to say. Each person's word is creative, not because we will or wish it, but because this is the nature of our being. The urge to live creatively comes from the urge of the divine imagination, that's capitalized, which pushes itself out through us into self-expression. This is human nature. We neither made it, nor can we change it. And that's, as I said, Words That Heal Today. And it's quoted from page 158, paragraph 3. I did not go back and, oh, actually I can, it's here. What's 158.3? I like to try and check this out. I do my research, as you all know. Well, I don't see it as I go through here. So I'm assuming it's from another edition of Words That Heal Today. I'm just going to make a couple of comments on the initial readings or initial quotes. When you study science of mind in particular, and new thoughts in general, or anything kind of related to this, you'll find that ideas keep coming back again and again and again. And in this case, the idea is that your word is creative. And that is something that goes all the way through not only Ernest Holmes' writings, but any New Thought writer. You're going to see this same idea. Our words are creative. And you'll even see it in a lot of, Christian preachers who are more of a metaphysical bent. And a lot of them will just quote back to Jesus when he's saying it's done unto you as you believe, which is another way of saying this. So it's actually a little bit more than our word. It's done unto you as you believe. And remember, belief is what? It's thought plus feeling. So it's done unto you as you believe. And that's what Ernest Holmes is saying here. Sometimes he just uses your word is creative, but he's also implying that your word is backed by your feelings. And the next person that Reverend Raymond quotes from is a person who's really, really, really worthwhile reading, because he truly practiced what he preached, and that's Neville Goddard. And we'll get more into that afterwards. When you use your imagination, do you imagine things to worry about and fear? It's a fair question. And Neville Goddard said, your own wonderful human imagination is the actual creative power of God within you. It is your savior. What do you extract from this to apply in your life? He also said, quote, imagining is the greatest creative power, not only of the poet, the artist, the actor, and the orator, but also of the scientist, the inventor, the merchant, and the artisan, and so on and so on. He says, imagine novel solutions to ever more complex problems, and that's Neville Goddard. He came from the islands, I think, from the West Indies, and he truly practiced what he preached. He lived in the US for a while, and one time he wanted to go back to his homeland. He didn't have the money, and he just vividly imagined a ticket appearing and going, and he got his ticket, seemingly out of thin air. But anyway, he got his ticket, and he got back to see his family. So he practiced what he preached. And now this is back to Raymond Anderson again, Reverend Raymond. He says, how do we use our imagination, the creative power of God, the divine imagination, which is our nature, as Holmes said? Are we using in bold ways that create and manifest in measurable ways a world that works for all? One of the global vision statements for CSL states, quote, we envision a world where personal responsibility joins with social conscience in every area of the political, corporate, academic, and social sectors, providing sustainable structures to further the emerging global consciousness. How are we using bold imagination to create this reality? And that was the question from Reverend Raymond. He goes on to say in his final paragraph, it's easy to offer demonstrable yet performative practices and messages that give the appearance of making effective real world change. Boldness asks us to get into the sweaty, uncomfortable, the messiness that effective change requires. And then he quotes from someone of whom you've all heard, Maya Angelou, who said, quote, we delight in the beauty of the butterfly, but rarely admit the changes it has gone through to achieve that beauty. And you all know what that is. Of course, it's a caterpillar, and then inside the chrysalis, it just disintegrates, and then it restructures and emerges as this beautiful butterfly. So I look at it this way. And it actually came out as an explanation. I don't know if you ever saw the movie The Secret. And in the initial version of The Secret, they kind of implied that all you had to do was sit there with your eyes closed, a vivid imagination, and whatever you wanted would appear. Is that possible? Probably it is possible. But Bob Proctor was one of the people who was in that movie, and who was my original mentor, and he was a great thinker in the, self-help movement. Said, yeah, that it actually did not explain that it isn't just a matter of closing your eyes and imagining this thing and pop, it appears. He said, no, you're expected to do something yourself. So in other words, our job after we have prayed, which is using our thoughts and our feelings, in other words, our beliefs, when we truly put into the universal mind what we believe and what we want, then it's our job to look for what we have to do to actually bring it about. Yes, sometimes things will just magically appear, and it's as if they just came out of nowhere. But most of the time, what we get are ways and means of actually getting to what we want. So when we look past the poverty and see what we want, sometimes we're called to actually do something to make those changes, to have that poverty go away. You know, Ernest Holmes said, we're not Pollyannas. We don't deny that there's sickness in the world. We don't deny there's poverty in the world. But what we do is, once we've seen what's actually there, we turn away from it, and then we see in our minds what we want to replace it with. And that is what we hold on to. And then as things start appearing, we take the necessary action steps. The Quakers had it really simply. The Quakers simply say, pray and move your feet. Pray and move your feet. The affirmation, like the artist for Disney, I am an Imagineer. I steward my creative powers masterfully. Somebody came up with that term, Imagineering, and I've forgotten who it was right now. It might have been Norman Vincent Peale, who was a Christian minister, but he was into the metaphysical stuff. And I'll look it up. I'm curious. I've got to look it up because I love doing research. I do research on each of these readings pretty well every day. And speaking of every day, Reverend Lisa will be back tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, and I'm sure her Wi-Fi will hold out. I'm sure it's just an odd blip. So if you have questions, send them to us. Put them in on our Facebook page, wherever you see this, whether you're seeing it on our Facebook page, you're seeing it on our YouTube page, my YouTube page, and my other pages, whichever it is, put a comment on there, or just text us. You can just text me, 832-271-0717, 832-271-0717. I promise you, if you text me, I will respond to you. Other people have done that. They've got replies, right? And finally, please take care of yourselves. It's really important that you take care of yourselves. Yes, we're called to help the world be a better place, but we have to do it from that strong foundation. And our prayer work, our spiritual work, is where we build that foundation so that we are strong enough to withstand whatever storm comes along. So until tomorrow, namaste.